Hey everyone, let's take a moment to look at the center section of the SSL Duality and go through that together. So here we are at the SSL looking at the center section. There's a lot going on here. Let's go from bottom to top. So you see this big round thing. This is a trackball theoretically hooked up to the computer, although in our case we don't have this hooked up to the computer because for reasons. So ignore this. Here we have group faders, groups 1 through 8. You can control multiple channels with one fader by assigning channels to this fader. I'll show you guys how to do that in a different video. Then we have the master fader all the way on the right. This fader acts as the master fader for A, B, and C. That is mix A, mix B, mix C. And the way we monitor that is we use this routing matrix over here. You see there's a column for mix A, mix B, mix C. I just turned off the fader for mix A, but if we did want to view the fader for mix A, we hold down this button that corresponds to the mix A column, and then hit the fader button right there. Now this is the fader for mix A. If I go to the fader for mix B, you'll see I haven't adjusted that yet, so that'll go down. If I go back to mix A, it'll go back up. So let's keep this at 0 for now. Next we have the communications buttons. This is going to be your Talkbacks. There's Talkback All. Discard, which should really be a Foldback A button, but tech didn't have a Foldback A button, so they replaced it with a discard button. Foldback B is your Talkback to Foldback B. Discard is your Talkback to Foldback A, and an external Talkback. This red light turns a red light on somewhere in the room if it's hooked up. I'm not actually sure if Studio 3 is hooked up with a recording light, but that's what that would do theoretically. This listen button allows us to monitor a microphone inside the live room in there, and that can be controlled by the listen master here. This is useful sometimes. And then the slate button, don't worry about the slate button. That's really for mixes and using the talkback to go to the mix buses, which we're never going to be doing. Next you have the channel select module. This plus or minus puts you in channel select mode. Get out of that. You have various ways of selecting: set, select, to, clear, all, and such. Next we have our bus routing. Depending on whatever channel's highlighted, you can assign that to mix A, mix B, mix C, or one of the 24 multi-track buses. Next we have our channel meters. You can monitor the input, the monitor return, the post fader signal, or the channel out signal. Next we have our channel output. That sets the channel out going to Pro Tools. You can set it from the preamp, pre-fader, post-fader, or EFX, which is something that you don't really need to worry about unless you're using it for more advanced workflows. Then we have processing in and out. We can put the insert on one channel in, or the EQ on one channel in, depending on channel select basis. Then we have the processing order. You could do dynamics post EQ, insert post EQ, insert post dynamics, and then filter to input, which would put the filter straight to the input. Then we have the channel in module. There's options for mic, which would put that channel in channel path, line, which would put that channel in monitor path, bus, which would be the equivalent of the group switch on the Neve. We'll talk about that in a different video. And then split, which would turn a channel into an inline channel. So don't be confused about this split button. If it's not lit up, then it's either in monitor or channel path, and if it is lit up, then it's in inline mode. Then we have the input. There's an input flip button, which you don't have to worry about for now. There's a phantom power button. Then there's a solo button. Then we have a solo isolate button, which is a solo safe sort of thing. Great. Now one of the most important buttons on this SSL is this focus mode button. Usually we want this to be blue. That means that this SSL will be in analog mode and not control surface mode, which will be indicated by no light here. I don't want this console to be in control surface mode pretty much ever, so I'm going to keep this on blue. That's very important. If there's ever any sound that's not coming through, take a look at this button. Next we have our volume knob. There's a cut switch and a dim switch. Then we have our miscellaneous levels. This controls the levels of our dim. You see that's at -15. Our after fader listen, our pre-fader listen, our solo in front, our headphones, which is this jack. I don't know if you can see it. Right there. And then our minis, which are our alternate speakers right here. Alt 5.1, Mini A and Mini B. When none of these are lit up, we're listening to our mains, which are our soffit mounted ATCs here. And then the NS10s in this room are hooked up to Mini A. Next we have this phones module, which controls whatever this output jack is outputting over here. Right now we have it set to whatever we're monitoring. You could also set it to Foldback A, Foldback B, and you could cut the phones as well. Then we have our monitor source. You can see here we could sum a bunch of different monitor sources together. We could listen to external A, which is whatever is under the external A menu. External B, which is whatever is selected under the external B menu. Stereo mix, which is controlled by the stereo mix master here, or mix A. Next we have a couple monitor modes. You don't really need to worry about them. There's a phase flip for the left channel. Maybe you want to listen to that, or you want to make things mono. That might be useful actually. And then there's a solo clear button if anything's soloed here. I can hit this solo clear and then it'll clear the solos. Great. Now we have the external A menu, external B menu. This is to select what device you'll be listening to under those. The AFL and PFL, that's your solo modes. Usually you want AFL, which is after fader listen. Monitor options, nothing here you really need to worry about. Meters, you can see the meters from Pro Tools, you can see the meters from the analog console, which is probably what you want to keep this in. This VU meter button toggles the VU from monitor, whatever you're monitoring, the stereo mix, or mix A. This peak button makes these meters on the channels peak meters. Hold keeps the peak levels on the meters, and then clear clears those levels. Miscellaneous you also don't really have to worry about. That's some miscellaneous stuff. Now there's stereo returns for reverbs and delays. You have to patch into these and assign these to the mix bus, just as you would a stereo pair of faders. Then there's the two foldbacks. This is your main way of getting into the headphones and using Talkbacks especially. Then there's the SSL comp, which is built in straight into this console. Then there's the masters for the multi-track buses 1 through 6, all the way through 24 here. Then there's the aux bus masters, stereo QA, stereo QB, FX1, FX2, FX3, FX4. Then you have the master knobs for your listen mic, your slate mic, your talkback out, which is a patch point out in the patch bay, and then your talkback to foldback, which is what you really want to pay attention to.